Excited to hear what's going on, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me get us all set up here. Good. So we are now recording. I'll send you a copy of this.
Awesome.
Have that.
So do you have like the pro version or something?
No, it's a free version.
Okay, cool.
And how's it sound on your side?
Perfect. I can put my headset in and we're good.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So how's it going?
Things are good, man. We've got a lot of stuff happening, property opportunities everywhere.
Sure.
I'm starting a sales team here in 2 weeks, so I'll be moving out of the home office and heading to the office and doing some things there. So I'm just working all the details out on that right now.
Nice way to go. Building up a sales force.
Like 100%. And I'm going to leverage all these other characters and jokers out there that are creating tons of leads, can't do anything with them. And then we're going to be their follow-up and make it happen. So I'll just have an agreement with them to pay them a portion. And then, I'll take the lead on things. Once we get it moving here, I'm going to do it in San Diego because there's a lot of people struggling out there too.
Oh, yeah. It's just absolutely every place,
Yeah.
One thing that's in common is that people are really confused. They don't know where to go, and they're turning to, I did this little talk at a local meetup here a couple days ago, and I thought it was, I didn't really, quite frankly, query the database to find out who was there, right? So I just made some assumptions that, these are sophisticated folks, and so
not so much.
No, so there was a moment about maybe a quarter of the way through the talk that I looked at them and I said, you guys okay? I mean, am I shooting you with a hose here? A fire hose, or, is it getting in? Because what I did was I created this interesting concept, because I got a call from this lady on Sunday. I guess you know her down here, Lenska.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's like, I need somebody to fill in. Would you be happy to do that? I said, absolutely. I said, I'm walking in the rain here in Portland. I'm looking at this property, and what do you want me to speak on? She said, credit or something like this. And I said, great. And so I actually started my talk on Wednesday morning, speaking Wednesday night. And I like to have my content buttoned down. And I said, how can I come up with something that is interesting, different, and unique as a concept? So I just kind of closed my eyes and sat back for a little bit. I came up with this concept, these 16 deal killer deal makers, and identified these things. And really, I just shot an off-the-cuff video, which I'll send you, and it's really all about, if you have somebody that is having, any one of these series of 16 things going on, it's pretty much a green light that they have a red flag. Right? And so It could be credit card lates, mortgage lates, a whole host of things, some building code violations, UCC, Uniform Commercial Code problems, medical debt, IRS debt, franchise tax board. I mean, all the stuff that, that just goes on and on and on. And nobody, I said, of these 16 concepts, right, where are you guys focusing in on? And I said, who's doing this? No hands. 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 I said, okay, what about bankruptcies? No hands. I said, foreclosures. I said, what about this? What about medical bills? What about this? One aspect of a small sliver of area in which they're practicing the real estate focus in foreclosures.
Sure.
As like, wow, there's such a other world, and I've even taken into consideration probate issues because nothing probate related ever shows up on a credit report.
Sure.
So anyway, the concept was really great. The folks that have been real estate dealers for a while got the concept. They liked the idea of it and saw what they could do with it. And so I also shared about what I did and taking my Outback experience and putting it to use. And I said,
Cool.
let me share with you what I did and where I learned this, right? And so let me share this transaction. So I showed him, I said, there I am. I'm walking in the rain in Portland. And I get a call from this lady saying, hey, would you do this talk for me on Wednesday? And I said, sure, not really knowing what I was agreeing to, but, listen, life's about throwing your hat over the fence, right? And in spite of not having a way in which you know how to fulfill upon something, where there's power is actually just doing it.
Yeah.
And so I said, yeah, fine, I'll do the talk. And by this time I was already speaking with this lady, Carla, beautiful lady.
This is in Portland, not in San Diego.
Right, this is in Portland. Right?
Okay.
So I've been in South Carolina on some other projects for the last several weeks, and then I just jumped over to bypass San Diego and just jumped over to Portland, and we had a conversation, she and I, and sweet lady, and I got to tell you, Coach, no time in the past had I ever, that's a good idea, no time in the past have I ever.
Corey, you're going out on me. Let me take my headset out and see if it's on my end. I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it came back. I'm not sure what that was.
Okay.
Like the last 30 seconds, you were like, I could barely hear you.
I was out. Okay. Let me see here.
Okay, we're back. We're back.
Okay, good. Let me move my microphone here a little bit closer. So I had, so there I was walking in the rain in Portland, and I got this call from this lady to do a talk. And the last day, I was in Portland looking at this house. And it was referred to me, and I went out there and beautiful home, built in 19.
Was it referred to you from the talk you had?
I was not. It was referred just through my little network, and so I went out there and we talked, and this lady said, so where do you want to stay? I said, I want to stay here. She's like, you want to stay with me in the house? I said, yeah, your husband's here. And so no time in the past that I ever, stayed at somebody's home that I was going to be buying. Right? In the past. So, I let go of those uncomfortable feelings because I was actually interested in having an experience of what the area was like.
Sure.
And quite frankly, I didn't want to spend $200 a night for a hotel. And so anyway, we connected, and over the day or so, we ended up talking about what our goals were. What was really important. And I took everything that you and John said, to heart. And what I said was, well, you know what? I can really go in there thinking about that. This is about the deal and the numbers and the money. Or I could go in there and really actually listen to what matters to her. So over the next day and a half, we're talking. We had a 5-hour lunch, just talking about everything, and where she wanted to go, what was next, and what she wanted to create. And what I got to listen to was that there were two things that were most important to her. Number one was her credit. Be able to actually either buy another home sometime in the future or rent an apartment because she didn't know where to go. Second was transportation. She was telling me about this car that she was in love with, and she had right? And she's a car lady. And so she was telling me about this car that she loved, and it was a black Jaguar, but the thing was too expensive to operate, and it was old, it was falling apart, and she's like, she just didn't have the money. So the car that she was driving, her and her husband had been sharing, is just falling apart, and she was scared because she just didn't know how to make the payment on a new car, and she didn't know if she couldn't qualify for one because her credit was just decimated. Medical bills, collections, mortgage lates, all that stuff. So as part of this whole thing, I said, well, you want $675,000. Actually, the property is listed for $690,000. And she had a first mortgage on it of $513,000. And she was in arrears about $13,000. And And so what I did was I looked around the area just to, comp the numbers. And I thought, well, I think probably 650, 660 was probably a little bit more consistent with market value. But I also wanted to check the rental market. So I checked the rental market, and in Portland, in this beautiful area, there's probably about 200 coffee shops. And so all these people hanging around the coffee shops. So I just went into coffee shops and just started talking with folks. Hey, what's going on? What are you doing? How's the coffee here? How's it like living in this area? It's rainy, but it's freaking rainy all the time, And everybody loves this area, loves this area. And I ended up talking to property managers in the course of about 2.5 days that I was there. And I talked to the city and the zoning department, and I checked title and her credit and all these things, And the whole thing was just fun. It was just elegant and fun. And it was like, hey, here's a cool restaurant, and let me get some work done while I'm at it.
Yeah.
And so what I found was that, this house is effectively a 2-unit, is what she had been renting it for. But I was concerned about the legality. It wasn't really a 2-unit, right? Turns out I called the city. It's an actually legally compliant 2-unit house.
Okay.
Pretty cool. So I checked in on market rents. The market rents for the downstairs unit, which is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, would be around $1,600 a month, and which would be okay. And the upstairs unit is a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath that would go probably close to about $3,000, maybe $2,800 a month, right? And I was like, okay, fine. Maybe it'll generate about $4,000 a month cash flow. And off to the side, there's another buildable lot, right? A nice buildable lot. And what you'll find, what I discovered was a lot of people that have been owning in that area, they're maximizing their land value, right? They're maximizing their land use. So they're jamming as much square footage on the lot as possible. Right? Okay. And so I checked in with the city if this was, legal and compliant, and the city said, yes. I have the square footage on the lot. I can put up another rental, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, or a 3-bedroom, 1-bath rental with two car garage below. So I can have 2-car garage and a rental above, or I can have a freestanding home, right? So obviously I have to research which one's going to be the better resale value. But ultimately, I'm going to have 3 units cash flowing, and probably that other unit will go for probably $2,000, $2,500 a month, brand new. So now I've taken this thing. It's got an upside cash flow of maybe about $6,000, maybe on the high end, $6,500 a month.
Wow.
And so I figured all that stuff out. Now it's just a matter of, what did she really want? How can I satisfy the deal?
Hang on before you do. What was her status? Hang on. What was her status?
Well, she was 7 months in delinquency, 7 months in arrears on her mortgage. And her pain level, her pain threshold, I didn't read it right. I thought that she was like a pain level 6, maybe 6.5.
She's like 9.8.
9.8.
Oh,
And she was just like, hey, everything's good, work out. When inside, it was eating her alive. And so I drafted an agreement. I said, here's how you could participate in this. So what I did effectively, and with what I learned at the Outback, in your unbelievable, incredible 4-day intensive program, was to be able to say, well, how can I take this property and ownership of this property subject to the existing loans, if that makes sense? So I did my necessary due diligence. I went to the county building and did the research and found out what was going on there. And one of the concerns that I have is when I call the lender, it could kind of reactivate things with the lender, because now it kind of it's off the radar, and all of a sudden now it's on the radar. Mm-hmm. I explained that to her. I said, if we do that, that could kind of accelerate things and can move things a little faster. And that actually ended up being the truth. And that was with Ocwen, right? In the course of 2 days, they added $11,000 of costs onto the deal. Mm. And so I shared this with her. I said, okay, I'll take care of your credit. As part of the transaction, here's what I'll do. Here's the general deal structure. I'll pay you $5,000, which was a lot of money. I've never paid anybody $5,000 on a subject.
Hang on 1 second. I know that's pretty significant. What about her, not her credit, but was she not renting any of the units other than living where she was living with her husband?
She just had a tenant move out. She moved the tenant out, and for whatever reasons she had, and so she was happy that it was vacant.
Got it. So she's living in her current reality of tenant left and nothing's going on, and you're looking at it from purely, here I made a few calls, we could rent this, and you're seeing $6,500 a month, and she can't see any of that.
No.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
and her pain level was through the roof, and so the other thing, really the third thing that mattered to her was her business, and her business was suffering because she wasn't in the game. She was thinking about, when am I getting evicted? When am I going to get foreclosed on? When is the axe? When's the axe going to fall? So in that 2-day time period, I really got to know what her business was about. So I put a small team of 3 people around her to help her business grow. And I know her business well, and we've had products and services in that target market. And so I know what needs to happen to increase her lead flow in her business. So it put a smile on her face to know that she can get her credit taken care of, right? We can help her with her business. We solve 2 of the 3 issues, right? Because, online, I'm highly effective around the lead generating side of things. And it doesn't really matter what industry. It's just a technology. And so I said, I'm going to get my partner, Don, and I'm going to get my partner, Greg, and we're going to come into this thing, and I'm going to sick them on this. I'm going to pay a little bit of money to them just to get this thing going so you get some lead flow, because you need more at-bats. You need more at-bats in the conversations that you're having, because you're great on the phone. The issue is you're just not having enough conversations. I said there's a direct relationship to the number of conversations you have and the number of deals you close.
Mm-hmm.
Period. She got that. And so we put that in place. And then I said, so we handle your business. We'll build your website. We'll get you a, Google My Business site page. We'll get you we'll get you into our PPC account to get some lead flow going your way. You know what to do already. That'll be handled. And then we'll work on your credit to get your scores up. I said, the third thing is your transportation. And now, so there I am. I'm sitting there with her family, and we're having, a little drink. Her husband's there. She's there, and her daughter's there, right? They wanted to see the presentation. They wanted to understand the flow of things. Not because they can actually do anything about it, but they were just curious, right? And so a lot of objections, a lot of concerns, a lot of objections, a lot of concerns. And then
around the real estate part of the transaction?
Around the, pardon me, it wasn't even so much objections. It was concern about why did she get in this position to begin with? Her family was so focused on blaming her,
right,
for the crap that she was in. So already this lady is feeling horrible about herself, right? She's already feeling like it's another loss in her life.
Right.
And then her daughter thinks she's a loser, and her husband thinks like her husband's in La La Land.
Jesus.
Right? So husband's like, well, what do you do about our cars? We don't have a car. And I just, stayed quiet then. The following day, when I had a chance to talk to her to kind of sweeten the deal, I said, I have a car and I want to give you as part of the deal. I said, because one, it would make a difference for you, because the third thing that you needed most of all was transportation. Now, here's the thing. You said you love black Jaguars. I have a black Jaguar that I want to give you as part of the deal. And you could have heard a mouse fart over the phone because what was building up in the background was a scream, right? And she's this sense of free, like her head blew off, and light coming out of it, and she's screaming in joy. And
wow.
And she goes, "Can you send me pictures of the car?" I said, "Absolutely." So I sent her pictures of the car. The car is beautiful. It's just a gorgeous car. So now we're working out the move out details, right? So the cost, so my cost of acquisition will be about $1,000 for the website stuff, for the lead gen stuff, get her going, no problem. I have never, ever offered $5,000 for anything. And I never have, right? But I really was committed that there's real fairness here and she gets taken care of.
Sure.
Her husband received a $30,000 check a couple years earlier for something, and he went out and bought tools. He bought $30,000 worth of tools at Sears. And there they sit on the property doing nothing.
Uh-huh.
And she was jacked up about that. So now we have a deal where upon I'm going to get her a check for $5,000. I'm sending her the car down there. The car's worth maybe $7,000. It was a car that I probably have $1,800 to $2,000 in, just part of it. And so I'm really effectively into this thing for maybe under $10,000.
Yeah.
So with that,
did you already have this car?
Yes.
Wow.
This was actually a car that I had to unfortunately repossess because the person wasn't making the payment that I helped them get a loan, and actually I got them the loan, and then they weren't making the payment. I said, you got to give the car back, right? So my wife, Belinda, loves the car. I said, honey, the car's gone. So what I've got is, to sweeten the deal, what we're doing is we're doing a loan modification, and we're submitting the documents in maybe today, maybe Monday, where we're going to be submitting a loan modification. So her defaulted amount, which is about $20,000, my intentions are to completely eliminate that $20,000 and or tack a little bit on the back end. So we can just do a reinstatement, not a reinstatement, but a trial.
Uh-huh.
So her income is so low, but her payments were previously $2,500 a month, right? Taxes and insurance, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. So I said, well, okay. So if I could zero out that or tie it on the back end, I'm into the thing for just $2,500 a month. I can cash flow it as is right now and have a positive about $1,500.
Right.
I'll recapture my cash out of pocket in 5 months, and then I'll have got, my equity position will be about $120,000, something like that net. And
after the add-on, probably owing about 150 or so. Yeah.
Something like that. And so I just want you to know how thrilled when I shared with Belinda that happened, and she started crying because she said, thank you so much. You got to get in touch with Mark, and you got to get in touch with John about what you did and what because you owe those guys a ton. And I am so grateful to have gone there. And because it made such a difference for you, and it made such a difference for me. The conversations that my wife and I are having, we never had before, right? We talk about numbers and business and money, which was always the thing that I always wanted to have in my partnership. I didn't always want to be, the guy with all the answers,
Sure.
Because I'm clear. You got to get great coaching, from somebody that really is an extraordinary coach. Otherwise, you got no chance. You're going to step in it. Somebody at the talk I did Wednesday bought a home, didn't get a home inspection. They were a first-time investor. Foundation was completely gone. Cost them $60,000. Right? I mean, basic stuff like this that, that one would think to do just because you think to do it. And so why I was thrilled to be able to do, get on this video with you and to share with you about this is because, the people that are sitting in your courses really don't have a clue who's in front of them. And that's you. They have no idea what's possible with you. They have no idea what you can create. And if you're playing this in front of them, I want to give every one of you in this course, in this class, a message, which is, you know what? You got to get out of your own way. If you want something, that you haven't had before, you got to take on a different approach, because what you've been doing ain't working. It's not going to get you to where you want to be. And it's not about working harder, working smarter. It's getting a whole set of new tools, ideas, strategies, ways in which to communicate. And, you know, and Coach and John's 4-day intensive, man, I'll tell you, you can blow $50,000 with fortune builders or profit builders or God knows what else. And you're going to end up with one thing, a big ass credit card bill. And it's not going to feel good when you have to write that check for $1,000 every month. So the money you're going to pay these guys, you're going to get such extraordinary value. I've already got 1,000 times the cost. 100 times, pardon me, the cost just in the last 30 days. For the last 30 days, this was the first subject to transaction I had done in a long time. And I just want everybody in the class, Coach, you, John, everything that you're doing, I just really want you to know you're on the right path. Mm-hmm. You know, you're doing great work because you're adding such extraordinary value.
Wow.
That I can't even begin to tell you. If people knew that for maybe $1,000 or $2,000 you can really get your credit handled, and then you could qualify for a $500,000 home and save $1,000 a month and save $60,000 for a cost of $1,000. I mean, if you could put $1,000 into something and get $60,000 back, I think you'd do it. Mm-hmm. And if you're in this class and you're looking at this thing saying, well, is it right for me? You know what? If you have any question whatsoever, I invite you to just do it. Throw your hat over the fence. Get out of your own way. Do something, you know, that's going to be different and unique, and it's going to make a difference for you. It'll stretch your brain, man. It'll stretch your brain. You know, these guys will pound you into submission to see it their way, because their way is the right way. You know? So I just want to leave everybody with that certainty and knowing that after me doing a lot of transactions and being out of the business for a lot of years, I needed this to be able to remember who I am and to add on a whole new confidence that I just quite frankly didn't even know was possible.
Wow. So, dude, revisit it real quick if you've got time. It's 12 o'clock. Do you got to go, or are you good?
I'm here. I'm good.
Okay. Revisit back in, I believe it was March, when you came to the first San Diego Outback event.
Yeah.
We had already connected, and we were scheduling you. I think you already had scheduled to come out to Vegas and then San Diego. But there was a moment in time where I got, you know, I don't know if I got in preachy mode or what, but I was coming from a real authentic place of like, you know, you got to be inspired, and this is, you know, what's possible. I don't know what I was saying, but something got you that night. Would you share a little bit about that? Because you made sure that you came up to John and I both that night and said something like, I felt like you almost called me out. I think that's what you said to me, something like that. Can you revisit that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I had sent John an email a couple times because there's something about your message made some sense. And there's so many charlatans and crooks and thieves out there selling boxes of air that something about your message just resonated, very consistent with and similar to what my commitment is. And I went to the first meetup in San Diego, and I was listening to you talk, and you and I had an interaction together at the end. And you shared with me some pain that you were dealing with, that you dealt with. And it was a level of pain that I could absolutely relate to. It's a pain of financial loss, and when your foundation gets rocked. When my foundation got rocked, where I started to question myself as a man, I started to question myself as a producer, and I started to relate to myself as somebody other than who I always knew myself to be. And what you said was just, I don't even remember the words. I remember the feeling. And the feeling was like a punch right in the chest, like a wake up, like a freaking wake up call, right? Like those. right to your chest.
Mhm.
And,
Oh,
and it was exactly what I needed to hear at the right time. And that's what a great coach does. Doesn't necessarily tell you something you don't know. Tells you something that you need to hear in the moment. You need to hear it. And that was extraordinary. And that's what started the shift for me. And it's taken 7 months to get here. And in that 7 months, here's what happened. In that 7 months, we bought this beautiful place in Portland, going to convert that, going to be into this transaction under $10,000, going to make a return of whatever it is, 10 times or more. We'll see how that goes. I'm sure it'll be great. I have jumped back in fully in the real estate world. I bought a commercial building that had tons of technical issues. I'm talking lot line problems, setback requirement issues, tons of I like the nasty, rotten, dirty, right, stuff. And so we took over that, and that happens to be right across the street from Walmart. We're turning that into an office building there. And
where's that at?
That is in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Had an opportunity to connect with the mayor, the big shots out there, all this kind of stuff. We've got another single family home. I've got, we bought that property that I shared about at the talk that I did for you guys. This 4-acre property is now cash flowing.
Yeah, in South Carolina.
South Carolina, it's doing great. We actually were able to get 35% increase in rent in the area because of how we marketed the mobile home, manufactured home. We're getting for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,150 square foot, double wide. We renovated, looks freaking gorgeous. We're getting 1,175.
Wow.
Now the average.
That's the one you bought for like $225, right?
$200, right? And that included 2 other houses, but we since demolished those and we're putting up new ones.
Yeah, I saw you out there driving the tractor.
And so that's the difference that you made was, for years I had been looking for the door, right? I've been looking for the door, and you put my hand on the doorknob, and then all I need to do is open it,
Wow. Amen, brother. This is, this is full on bringing me to tears. This is awesome. It's awesome.
And what you're up to now, and the difference that you're going to be making with, this team that you're bringing in,
Wow.
Just killer.
Oh, wow. So if you would, just for maybe a minute or two more, tell us specifically about Belinda's summary of the experience of the Outback event, the 4-day intensive,
Great.
and then some of what she's doing and has gotten out of it since then.
Great. So I've been in the credit business since 2004. Helped thousands of people be able to buy homes, sell homes, acquire assets, solve complex problems. And my wife had always in the background thought that I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing something illegal, immoral, unethical. And this is my wife, and she's keeping this from me.
And y'all been married how long?
Just a couple of years. Just a little over 2 years. And when I would share with her about something, it just got to a point where it's like, I didn't even want to share anymore because my experience of her view about what I was sharing was that I was doing something, like I said, unethical, illegal, immoral. You can't do it. How in the world can you possibly do it? And so when I said to her, I go, listen, I want you to go. I like these guys. I like John and Coach. I like them for a lot of reasons. These guys are the real freaking deal. I mean, I was with the guys years ago, from Robert Allen and, and a number of other, real estate, no money down investors. And they inevitably either went to jail or did something that they shouldn't have done and got caught. And I said, not these guys. And so I said, I want you to go to the seminar. I don't want to go to the seminar. I said, you're going to the seminar, and that's it. And I said, if you don't respect me here, you're not bringing love to our relationship. You're not cherishing it. Reluctantly, she went. We flew out there, and the days are long.
Yeah, they are.
Days are long, and she was great. We do seminars and things like that together, so we were used to those days. But for the average person, days are long. It's an enormous amount of value. And as it went on and went on, I can see light starting to come through the back of her eyes, like, oh my God. And what was so moving at the end of the 4 days, she stood up and she started to cry. And here's a woman that just, there's no tears there. She just is such a strong, Hispanic, Latino. It just, the only thing that moves her is her son. And she stood up and she said, I want to apologize to my husband in front of everybody here. And she said, honey, I'm sorry for all the things that I thought about you and what you're doing. I didn't realize I was hindering things. I didn't see all the things you've been trying to share with me. And now with John's help and Coach's help, what I got to see is everything that you're saying and everything you've been talking about. It's real. And I could see, working together in the future, on new projects and new resources and things as a partnership. And so that was incredibly fulfilling to hear my wife say that to me. Very redeeming, and as a result, she was always a 9-to-5 person, And as an entrepreneur, you're usually 5 to 9. You're not 9 to 5. She'd get her check, and so what she did since the training, she quit her job.
She did.
Where her last day is December 31st, December 30th, and she got her NMLS license.
I saw that.
And she is going to be doing real estate loans and getting her real estate license to start doing real estate transactions. So she said to me, well, what's going to happen in January? I said, well, what's going to happen in January is that you're not going to be working and you're not going to get a check. That's what's going to be happening. And I said, congratulations. Welcome to the world of being an entrepreneur. Right? And what's so great about that is that I got her back, and with my help, your support, what we learned there, and crystal clear as we went by, just getting back into the mode of doing deals. I'm in that mode, and I for the other benefits that I couldn't have even begun to predict. There's so many other benefits that have resulted. I wouldn't have even, I could have never imagined it.
Sure. So in the next 12 months.
Hey, there she is.
You see Corey? In the next 12 months, you're going to own probably close to half of the United States.
Maybe. So what I do know,
Maybe you want to say hi?
Hi, how are you? Hi, honey. Hey, baby. Hi. Oh, she's getting big.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and so that's why I just wanted to share the impact that you had and the difference that you're making. And this is when you provide an opportunity to give freedom to people. It's in my view, it's always God's work.
Yeah. Amen, brother. Well, the email you sent, I guess it was about a week ago or maybe last weekend. John saw it first, and I read his email in response to yours, but I didn't read yours yet. I saw his response, I read his, and I was like, oh, wow, this is heavy. So I went back and read yours, and I was like, wow. But, this is not to take anything away from what you just shared. I've been blessed and in a position to receive feedback, not like that, but similar to that as far as an expansive story and stuff. And that's happened a lot during the last 17 years. And, more and more and more every day. But that was the first time that I had seen it from John's perspective and him kind of receiving the news first. And I mean, he was like jumping out of his skin. That was so cool, man. So cool. But I mean, it's exactly why we do it, because it fulfills the giver, the guys that have a perspective and intention and a heart to give, share, be transparent, and open up. And it's like, just because there's some obstacles or adversity in yesterday doesn't mean that needs to be your story going forward. And I think we lived that pretty well, and it created space for you guys to just unleash and do some healing.
Yeah, absolutely. My metaphor, I guess, if you would say, would be around horses. I love horses, fast cars, stuff like this. And so for me, my horses were kind of tied up at the stable for way too long. I had pretended that I really was interested in making a difference for people to the level that I'm making a difference, when in actuality I am, but I also want to have a difference be made for me. But I wasn't making it for me. And and now I can own and be completely responsible and let go of the stories that I had, about the past, and getting back in the game is what it's all about, and, in that classic Rocky V, I think it's Rocky V. He's on the corner of the street talking to his son. He's like, you know what? It's not how hard he could take a punch, but it's how hard he could take a punch and get back up. Mm-hmm. I stayed down a little bit. And now I'm up. And I ain't going down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Awesome. So, dude, I'm so grateful, man. This is thrilling. Thrilling.
It is. I'm thrilled to be able to, by the end of this year, I'll be down in South Carolina. And that is a very, very hungry market. Mm. I am working with some folks that I met at one of the meetups. And, these are guys that are experts. And as I've been looking, there's just not the skill. There's just not the skill level. Somebody presents a deal, they don't know how to analyze it. They don't know what to look for. They don't know how to identify what's true and what's not true. And I don't care if it's in South Carolina, I don't care if it's in Texas, I don't care if it's in New York or Chicago or Miami, it's the same thing. People just don't know.
Absolutely.
And it's always, I think it used to be 80-20, or 20% of the time, 80 of 100%, 80% of the people wouldn't do anything, but 20% would. I think that number is shifted from probably to 10-90.
Yeah.
10%, which is a lot. Perry Marshall talks about, he said, listen, if 1 out of 1,000 people actually, after they've paid me, do something with it, I'd be surprised. And those people are highly successful.
Yeah.
So, my commitment is to, be one of those 10, in your group.
Wow. Rock on, brother. and so I just got to say this too. What's for me 16 times more thrilling than just the amazingness of your story in general is the fact that you're already running a successful business in the credit business, and you're constantly helping other people and shifting their perspective and stuff in their little world. but you were still on the sidelines in yours as far as taking action and doing things for you.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, for me, that's even like you're probably more of an anomaly than even others, because you're taking action in your world of business, but you weren't taking action in your world of you. And part of it, you know, the honest place, and I appreciate you being like that. And Belinda was the same way at the event. The fact that, you know, y'all are into a couple of years new marriage, building things, you're head over heels for each other, but there was some difficulties in lining up the philosophy of where you're going, and her supporting you and you feeling not supported.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And she probably wanted to be aware of it, but wasn't. And, you know, a few $1,000s in investment in 4 days in Vegas shifted that. And like, wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's really what it's all about. That's the investment in man and land right there, bro.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely 100%.
Holy cow. Dude, I'm thrilled, man. I appreciate your time today, dude. This is going to serve so many people at the Outback.
Great.
So many people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I look forward to having better and better people out there doing better things and leaving people in better places.
Rock on.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Well, what I'll do is I will let me hit recording. There we go.